My name is Barnabas Collins. 2 centuries ago, I made Collinwood my home, my love, until a jealous witch cursed me, condemning me to the shadows.
Well, he stepped into the roles of the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland, Captain Jack Sparrow, a very versatile actor, Johnny Depp. Now he steps into the legendary character of Barnabas Collins in our next movie review. Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to RealScreenReviews.com. I am, of course, film critic Nick Iacobucci, happily joined by the lovely Debbie D'Angelo. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
And our next movie review is the adaptation from the cult TV show Dark Shadows, and it stars Johnny Depp, Chloe Grace Moretz, Michelle Pfeiffer, Jackie Earle Haley, a bunch of other people. It comes to us from director Tim Burton, and I believe his 8th collaboration with lead Johnny Depp, and they've made a career working together. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the lovely Debbie D'Angelo.
I'm just curious, why did you call it the cult TV show?
Because it has never been like really hugely famous, but it does have a core following.
Niche?
Yeah, a very core following, and the people that really like the show really like this show. So
Okay.
I think that's why I would deem it a cult following.
Just curious.
Yeah, well, whatever. I'm glad I at least had an intelligent answer. How about that?
Me too.
Okay.
Well, the movie Dark Shadows very loosely parallels the 1960s soap opera, where Johnny Depp plays the main role of Barnabas Collins, who unfortunately shuns the affections of a witch and is castigated to life as a vampire, entombed for 200 years.
Right, then by freak accident.
Comes to life, he
Yeah.
resurfaces, and life is a bit of a shock for him. In
Yes.
the 1970s culture, some of the catastrophic changes that have occurred with his home and his relatives,
Right.
and the movie's about his adjustment and what he's going to do to straighten out his family, so to speak.
Okay. Now, as usual, I try to guess whether or not you like this movie or whether you didn't like this movie, and I'm going to say that you're on the fence on this one.
You know what? I'm not going to lie, it's not a great movie, but
No.
I liked it.
I laughed.
enjoyed it.
It was hard to like this movie because my biggest problem with this film is it was just all over the place.
Yeah.
It was when it was funny, it was really funny. When it was dramatic, it was very dramatic. When it was trying to be like the Addams Family, it worked in that direction. But it was just like
When it was long, it was too long.
it just went all over the place. Well, what did you like about it? I mean,
Well, I never, it's not like I'm spring chicken or anything, but I'm not really old enough to have said that I've watched Dark Shadows and followed. I'm familiar with it. I'm kind of familiar with the characters. And when I would talk to people about it, people who watch it, they say, oh my God, that was the most hysterical thing because production-wise, it was a catastrophe. The boom mics were always showing.
That's what I
Pieces of
heard.
the set were falling down and you could hear it. And yet some people criticize the movie and say, well, it was nothing like the series. And so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, me either. All I know is I thought the movie actually worked best when it was trying to be funny. Like I thought his contrary to the 1970s, because he was so proper, he reminded me of like Thor, because when Thor came down to Earth, he was so out of place. And it kind of remembered like the fish out of water. That's what it kind of reminded me of. But then it wouldn't be funny. Then it got to be...
He's aptly cast, I think. He plays that quirky role,
Right.
the oddball role really well, but kind of endearing, So I think really, who else could have played this role?
Right. Well, then another problem I had is, when he comes to the 1970s, he kind of falls for this Victoria, okay? And she's like barely even in the movie. And then when she does show up for like her 3rd scene with him, she's like, I'm in love with you. And I was wondering where all that came from because they concentrated more of the story on him and this witch that put him where he was at and their love affair, because there is a love affair between, him, whether it's past, present, but it was, I don't know, like I said, it's like they really didn't follow any kind of linear story. Like the movie didn't go from one logical step to the next.
I was going to say, forget logic.
Yeah, it just
I like
was
to look
all
at
over.
movies that way, but once I figured this out, I thought, forget it, just enjoy it for what it is. You know what I liked? I liked the way they told the backstory, like how he got to be.
I liked that too. I like that
so
too.
I thought that was creative and innovative.
But then like other things were the young kid, his nephew, and he was trying to help him, and then there was this dad who got dismissed after like 2 scenes, and then I liked Helena Bonham Carter as that psychiatrist. I mean, that chick can play any role ever. I mean, she can play the Queen Mother, and then she can play this American pill-addicted drug addict from the 70s, and this lady can play any role. And but once again, not enough of a substance for I think any of these people to really make a mark, except
they kind of just
for
introduced
Johnny
them.
Depp.
Yeah, a little superficial. One thing I noticed was the family's so dysfunctional. In a way, it's kind of funny, but in a way, it's kind of depressing. You know, the family. But one thing I did enjoy was all the 70s culture, the music, because you know I love 70s music.
Yeah, absolutely. The soundtrack was great.
Yeah, the lava lamps, the games, you know, just all the references to 70s
I liked all
culture.
that. But one of my other nitpicky things with this film was I thought when we were inside the house, it looked kind of phony and fake. And what I kept saying is, I'm a huge fan of the Addams Family movies from the early 90s, and I kept saying, the house in the Addams Family looks much more realistic than this, and it was 20 years ago that they made the Addams Family. I mean, how could this be? So there was like a few technical aspects. I thought that a longtime collaborator with director Tim Burton is Danny Elfman, who did the musical score. Not his best work from any means of the word. The movie was just weak in a lot of spots. Well,
it's flawed,
yeah,
but I still enjoyed it.
I laughed too. I really did. Like I said, when the movie was trying to be funny, I thought it worked best. I really wish they would have went with the whole Addams Family thing right off the bat.
I'm not going to rate it very highly, I can tell you that. Even though I liked it, you know, I think it's one of those things that you're kind of a special person who likes this movie.
You're part of that cult following.
Yeah,
like you really like it if you like it. So what's Debbie's real screen review? How many hearts?
I'm going to give it 2.5 hearts.
2.5 hearts out of 4. That's not bad. That's actually just a hair better than I'm going to give it. I'm going to say I'm right down the middle on this one. I'm going to say Nick's real screen review is going to be 2 stars out of 4. I'm going to say if you go in with low expectations, you're probably going to...
just enjoy it for what it is. I'm not a Johnny Depp fan like my sister, like she loves everything he does, but I thought he did a really good job in this role. I really liked him cast in this role.
The only reason that this movie was even made is because he wanted to play this part. He's been dying to play this vampire for a long time. Ba-dum-bum. And I think that's actually the only reason this movie even became a film in the first place. But you know, I mean, like I said, if you're a big fan of the show and you're a big fan of Johnny Depp, then you're probably going to like this more than just
fun resurrection of the whole premise of the soap opera.
But honestly, I would say personally, go see like The Avengers before you would go see this, because I think The Avengers is just a whole lot more of a
I say dollar theater or rent it, but you know.
But at least worth your time.
Couple beers maybe.
Well, Debbie, thank you so much for being here, and I'm sure she's going to be back shortly to review something, I'm sure. You know, it's probably some like romantic comedy or something like that, but until then, we're not always right, but only when it comes to the movies, and thank you very much for your attention.
Love me. Never. Was a regrettable turn of events.